Hello, and welcome to that Eurovision podcast, Eurovision with a slice of life. My name is Rory, and I'm not doing too bad today. It's been a bit rainy here, so I guess it's kind of a prelude of how sad we are going to be talking about this episode. Just given the fact that when this is going to be released, it'll be technically the first day of Eurovision week, and I think we all need a little bit of time just to sadden ourselves and just feel sad about ourselves and the situation for a while.
F in the chat.
F, F, F.
F.
Esk.
And with me,
Jazzy. I'm doing okay today. It's been the weather's been really nice, but it's just clouding over now. I went for a walk earlier and it was really hot. And yeah, not been doing too much.
It's Rosie, and I have been having a very long and stressful day at work, so I'm very happy to be here. And the weather outside is beautiful, and yeah, otherwise looking forward to mourning a little bit. And also I'm back in my dressing gown again.
Oh yes, it would not be a normal That Eurovision podcast if it wasn't Rosie in anything but a dressing gown.
Exactly.
All right, then. It's Tim here. I just finished work, so yeah, when we're recording this, it's like the 3-day bank holiday weekend. So I'm in good mood. I'm in a good mood, and also the fact that I'm trying not to think about the fact that I'm supposed to be in Rotterdam right now. But it doesn't help that when you've got a certain app called Time Hop on your phone, who's just reminding you that for the next 2 to 3 weeks, are just going to be like Eurovision stuff spamming on it, and I'm still not ready. But it is what it is. But just delving into the what ifs, because next week should have been the semifinals, and this week should have been the rehearsals, and I should be in the press center right now. I'm telling life, but we're not going to talk about that.
It's so sad, honestly. I mean, this at the time of recording, I technically should have been in Rotterdam myself, actually, giving an academic presentation on my dissertation. And now that's not the case, so I'm just like, here in Ireland, woo, get that vibe going. Anyway, as it may have been alluded in our introductions, this week we're going to be somewhat mourning, but somewhat looking forward to the future. So this week we are actually going to be looking at the songs for the 2020 contest, which obviously is not going ahead, just due to the current situation that we're all finding ourselves in. But obviously, with 2020 being cancelled, we still had 41 amazing songs come in, some more amazing than others, obviously. But let's not get into like who gets classified into where. But even just before getting into like favorites and everything, how would you put 2020 up against sort of similar years, so like say 2019, 2018? Like how does the class of 2020 sort of live up to the same expectations of them?
For me, I think there was no clear-cut winner, and that's the element that I've been waiting for like quite some time now. And I think that had the contest gone ahead, we would not have known probably until after all the pre-parties and maybe just at the beginning of the rehearsals who we think should be the winner. So like the day before, like when all the songs were released, we had no idea because there's no evident winner personally for me. So that's the one thing that I would compare from this year to the previous years.
Yeah, there was no clear-cut winner. There was about 6 or 7 songs which I thought, given rehearsals, given pre-parties, could have won. I tend to like hold back on who will actually win until I see the rehearsal, especially after Eleni and Fuego. We thought Fuego would do okay, but we didn't know it was the contender it was until we saw the actual rehearsal back in Lisbon. So yeah. I always hold off my winner prediction until after we've seen all 41 songs in rehearsal.
I think for me, sort of, if you're comparing the sort of general quality of songs, I have found it a slightly weaker year than the last sort of couple of years. And that's generally because I've not really found any song that hits that something really special and magical for me. And even comparing 2019, where I have 6 songs that I still listen to incredibly regularly, they're sort of the first songs I go to if I'm switching my very archaic iPod Nano on.
Ooh.
I switch it on and I go, oh, I want to listen to that song. And I don't get a lot of that with this year. And there are some songs I really like. And there are some songs that have really grown on me, but there's nothing that's really hooked me that I've really, really rooted for the same way that I have the last couple of years.
I'm going to flip that. I actually think it's a little bit stronger. Despite having a very similar opinion, I don't really have a song I'm emotionally attached to. However, there is definitely less songs in 2020 that I dislike than I did in 2020. And I think that kind of balances it out. Like, it was a strong year. I was just emotionally attached to any of this. While in 2019, 2018 I was, but I don't think the years were actually as strong as I do think. Somewhat weaker entries from certain countries in those years.
Yeah, I think like you had all said that like 2020 was actually one of those years where it was actually quite hard to pick a winner because there were so many like potentials. I think the last time that it would have even come somewhere close to that would have been maybe 2011, but in the sense that 2011 was so weak that you couldn't actually decide what was a winner. Whereas this year, I think it's a lot stronger given how the quality of songs has kind of progressed over the years. I do think it was a strong year, but I kind of share the same sentiment with Rosie that it isn't as strong as, say, 2016, 2018. Because if you look back on how, like, on the run up to the 2018 contest, like, yes, we did have Toy and we did have Fuego, but there was a lot of other songs that were getting a similar amount of sort of promotion and a lot of same amount of praise almost. So there was still a lot of good quality songs this year for sure. But it's just, I personally don't think it was up to the same, like, sort of iconic level as, say, 2016 or 2018.
And I think some of that is hard as well because we don't have the stage performances to be able to say, oh, that's iconic, because a lot of the time that's what would make it that way.
That's very true. Because say, for example, like, if you said, like, how Jazzy said about Fuego, like, in the run-up to the contest, we didn't actually, like, we knew that Fuego was, like, a good song. But it's the staging that made it the iconic performance that it is today, and that's the reason why Eleni Ferreira is practically, I don't know, like Thrush. She just keeps coming back, you know.
Like the Queen of Eurovision.
She is the queen. She's the Queen of Eurovision. Yeah.
The Queen is Verka.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I mean, hey, Verka can be lesbian. It's just as good. But yeah, so obviously looking at the 2020 songs, who would have been your top 3 going into rehearsals?
So my third place was Iceland, my second place was Ukraine, and my first place was Switzerland.
Nice. Very intense. Intensity was your forte this year.
Definitely. I think part of it as well is that I just had this idea for staging Répondez-moi that I sort of fell in love with, and I knew that on one hand I'd be disappointed if I didn't get that, but on the other hand I just fell so in love with how I visualized it in my head that I think that just sort of reinforced itself.
I mean, the better you're able to visualize performances, I think that definitely shows like your commitment to it being up in your like the top of your rankings. So I mean that totally makes sense.
I heard about Switzerland. Did you know who was gonna stage I can't even pronounce it. Gijon's performance in Rotterdam had it continued this year?
Oh, I mean, thinking about Switzerland, I'm probably gonna have to say Sacha Jean-Baptiste.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sacha Jean-Baptiste.
You should have hired me.
The same person that did Fuego, and she got me.
I think, though, they should have just picked Rosie instead, because Rosie seemed like she had it down, though.
Ejon, if you're listening, hire her for next year.
John, please do it.
Please.
Do it, John. So my top 3 were, I'll do it in reverse as well. My third was probably Ukraine. I go between Ukraine and Denmark for my third and fourth, because I think I just equally like them as much, but there's 2 I like a lot more than those 2, and it's my second place is Lithuania, and my first is Germany. I just think Germany appeals to me because it's just fun, it's a bop, and it's just something that I would typically listen to, maybe outside of... A lot of people compare him to Benjamin Ingrosso and Dantua. Now, I'm going to say something here, which is going to completely contradict. I wasn't a huge fan of Dantua.
Oh, I mean, same.
Also same.
Same.
So I was like, how could... Because some people will be like, how do I like one, don't like the other? I found like Violent Thing had a little bit more personality, and like the song was just, I think, not better to produce, but like more catchy and easy to get into, whereas I found some parts of Dance You Off quite jarring. And yeah, I don't really agree with the comparison.
They're the same age as well.
Are they the same age as well?
Yeah, I think I checked this. I think they're both 22.
Oh my god.
Someone correct me from
22.
2.
Oh, all right. My third place is Australia, Montaigne. Mm-hmm. Montaigne kind of reminded me a bit of Sia, and kind of had this like artsy vibe on it, and I don't know, her performance was just captivating, and the fact that we're actually going to be able to see what her staging would have been like for Rotterdam on SBS's Eurovision Big Night In, if I got that right. It would have been curious, because I know that with Australia recently they've been focusing on staging a lot more, like what they did with Kate Malahide last year. Take that, like,
yeah,
the way they were able to twist that into something new. So, and the fact that she sang it really well as well. And I know that not many people get the concept of the staging and the clown makeup, but I actually liked it, and I think she showed herself and what she's for, and I'll give her that. My runner-up, surprise, and don't slaughter me, Twitter. My second place is Austria. And just because of the fact that A, it's a bop, I really like the dancey bop. And I know some people are like, it's kind of old style. But then again, like, most of the fans in this contest grew up in like 90s, early noughties, and it kind of reminds me of that vibe, which I've been missing. And I think it's kind of nice to introduce that music to new generation. And also the fact that I've known of Vincent's work before I moved to the UK, and I know of the fact that he can sing. So had he performed that live with the high energy it is, I think we would have been in for a treat in Rotterdam. And finally, my winner, my so-so winner, I'm so gutted about this. My winner is Bulgaria. Because of the fact it gave me that same feeling that Arcade did when it first got released. And I also like the fact that Victoria actually explained that the song's about facing your fears and moving on and moving forward, which has been kind of relatable. And I was able to kind of reflect how much I've moved on from terrible things, and that's why it's my winner. So yay for Victoria.
I think that's a pretty popular top 3, I think, yeah. And then we cut to me, who's quite possibly the most like out there like Eurovision opinions of all time, but it's okay. So yeah, my third place was Russia, and the main reason for that, I know it was such a divisive song, especially between people who liked it for its sort of catchiness and its ability to kind of bring in locals. But then you could also see it from the other side of like strong-minded fans who would almost sort of resent it for its vapidity. Personally, I fall in the category that it's actually a good song. I think it has the ability to attract a lot of people who wouldn't necessarily be interested in Eurovision, and given the fact that Little Big is such a big name anyway, and not even just to mention, it's a bop. When the full song came out, like, it really just kind of proved that Russia kind of knows what they're doing now. And that's coming from someone who really doesn't actually like Russia that much in terms of its songs that it sends to Eurovision. Controversial opinion, but that's for another episode. um, and then my second place is, now this is going to be a controversial opinion. Are you okay? You ready? Are y'all ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm seatbelted in.
Okay. My second place is Belarus. Davidna.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, okay, bear with me. Yes, she looks like Kelly Osbourne, but that's okay. We like Kelly Osbourne in this house, okay? But I personally love this sort of genre of walking home at nighttime, like clear sky, loads of stars in the sky, and then just listening to some really like lo-fi, really chill music. And this kind of is the sort of music that you would listen to like when you were going on that kind of walk. And I think the staging for it in the Belarusian national final was a bit messy. And I think a lot of its message does get lost in the translation just due to the sort of the staging of it. But there is actually a lot of potential in that song. And I really do hope that BTRC does actually think of sending them next year, because it's a popular song, not even like it's already in Belarus anyway, so I think that it would be a popular choice for them to come back anyway. But I just think it's a nice song to listen to, and I think it's criminally underrated by this fandom. And then my number one is Australia as well. So like you said, Tim, I think a lot of people did kind of not really understand what the staging and like what her outfit was. She's deliberately trying to look like Mr. Mime because she is a geek and we have to stan, okay? No, honestly, the tone of the song I think is fantastic. It has quite possibly some of the most poetic lyrics like in the whole contest. I think I think it actually has my favorite lyric from the whole contest, which is "Isn't love a compromise? Two people trying to keep the fire burning." I think that is the most poetic line of the entire contest, I think, and
that is a nice line.
It's a nice line. I think it's because it's so visual. Like, I think you can just actually like see it. But I don't know. I think it was a really underrated song. Like some people did like it, some people didn't like it, but I did wish that it got a little bit more praise, just because I felt like a lot of the time Australia kind of just went under the radar. But I'm really happy that she's coming back next year, and she's actually continuing, and she's like already started to work on the song for next year, so I'm really looking forward to what she's bringing next year.
Rory?
Yes.
Where's Ukraine?
Oh, okay, right.
Number one Ukraine stan.
I am a Ukraine stan, okay? Ukraine is number 4. Okay?
Okay.
So it just missed out on being my top 3. It was my number 3 until Russia came in. And then and since then,
controversial.
I know it's controversial, but my heart lies in Kiev, okay? My heart lies in Kiev. But yeah, so speaking of the 2021 contest, obviously we have 12 or 13 artists who were due to compete in the 2020 contest say that they're going to come back for next year. Obviously, we're really looking forward to some of them coming back. For those who are still kind of thinking about if they are going to send their same participant next year, who do you think you would love to see come back from those countries?
Leslie Roy.
Leslie Roy.
Oh, yes. Oh my god. Like,
Ireland is my 5th this year. I think it's just a complete joyful bop. And it makes me so happy. And Leslie Roy is such a wonderful human being, and I've been loving everything that she's been putting out in the last few weeks. And I really want to see more of her.
She's kind of reminding me a bit of like Kelly Clarkson meets Katy Perry vibes, and I'm for it. Yeah, but the thing is that I've been seeing on my Twitter line that apparently someone contacted the head of delegation for Ireland, and they're just like, "We want to send them, but it depends on the song." Apparently, so it's not a confirmed source, but like I really wish like she was internally selected. This shouldn't be a problem. I don't get why. If you've internally selected an artist, you can't send them in 2021.
I think Leslie Roy is also really keen to come back, judging by what she's been saying on Twitter as well.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
like, someone who really actually wants that would make me so happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of share the sentiment of Leslie Roy coming back. I just think I like someone taking part in Eurovision who wants to put everything into it, and she seems like she's up for it. She enjoys the contest, and that is always somebody that I like to see in Eurovision who is just in it for the fun of the participating. Like, she's very interactive with the fans as well. I think that's a really good thing. Because like it helps build a relationship for 2020. Like, she has like months to do so, and I think it'd be brilliant to just see her in Rotterdam, not in 2021, and just see her. And I think it would just make everybody so happy for her. And I feel like it wouldn't just be like one or two people that'd be happy for it. Literally, would be the whole band. That would just be really nice to see.
Yeah, I think like Leslie Roy has actually been one of the most personable like representatives this whole year. I think she's been the one who's interacted the most with fans, and even just the fact that she's so like wanting to be selected for 2021. I don't know if any of you have watched it, but at the time of recording, today was one of the days when Nikki Tutorial's videos for Eurovision Calls came out, and Leslie Roy was the first one for today. They said that RTE was kind of like, they had agreed that RTE and Leslie should kind of postpone thinking about like the 2021 contest just due to like the situation in the current pandemic. So, which I totally understand, but obviously it would really be lovely for her to come back because she wants it and the fandom wants her back as well. And I think if you've managed to create such a good relationship with the artist and the fandom, I think that has to be a going signal. And then another artist that I would really love to come back would also be Samantha Tina.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
Absolutely.
I think to try for your national final as many times as she did, and then to win,
and then it gets
and
cancelled.
then for it to be cancelled is just so sad. And I really hope LTV gives her another shot, because man, has she earned it, and man, does she deserve it. Still Breathing was a bop, and I know she could produce another for 2020.
Another thing I'd like to point out with these broadcasters, because I think they're going to be a bit, how do I delicately put this? Like, they may be having some funding issues for next year. All I'm going to say is, TV, if you internally select Samantha, you'll save a lot of money of like not doing Supernova just internally selecting her. So for the love of God, just select her.
Yeah. Given the fact, like, I think she's essentially, alongside Marcus Riva, I think she is essentially like the Sanna Nielsen of Latvia. Like, she's come and gone 50,922 times or something like that. And every single time. She's even tried to represent Lithuania, and even then she still didn't get it. Given the fact that she's tried so often, and then the one time she actually makes it and then it's cancelled, I think it's so unfair. I think it's really unfair. But at the time of recording, LTV has announced that it's going to be presenting a 40-minute interview with Samantha Tina, and they're going to make a decision on whether or not she will participate within the next week or so. So this is an open call to LTV. Pick Samantha Tina. Maybe go with a Roxanne style national final, or even just keep it at an internal selection, just keep the one song. Just make sure that she's the one that goes, I think, for sure.
Still Breathing is one of those sort of songs. I have a very sort of specific category of songs in my head where I first hear them and I go, that's really weird. And then they really grow on me. Telemoves was another one.
Yeah.
And I heard Still Breathing and I was like, what the hell is this? This is going to do a Telemoves on me. And surprise, surprise, it did.
It is a good song, though. I think when I don't know if any of you guys watched Supernova this year, but when the audition tape bits kind of came out, I initially didn't like Still Breathing just because I knew that it would become a fan favorite and then eventually win. But in the end, it has that sort of infectious sort of vibe to it. So I think it is definitely a grower.
Yeah, and the staging the staging itself just speaks of what's happening in the
Oh,
world
honestly,
right
I I want to channel Samantha Tina just going ballistic on stage just every day.
A mood.
But are there any sort of other artists who you'd like to see come back, maybe? Or
Ooh, let me look at the list. Because there's.
I know there's
But
so many.
yeah, to be fair though, if I had it in my world, I think the EB should have made a rule that 2020 artists should have been the one going to 2021. But they gave the discretion with, and that kind of broke my heart just a tiny bit because of the fact that all 41 of them have worked hard to get, like, with Samantha Tina herself, she took part quite a few times to get there, and the fact that this gets taken away from her, and some of them are like they don't get that chance, like the Mamas, because
The
they
way the way Sweden binned them off made me so angry. It felt like it was done like within an hour of the Eurovision being announced. It was cancelled,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it was not handled well. Like, I'm sorry, it wasn't.
They
Like
did love better.
mhm.
Absolute justice for the mamas.
Definitely, definitely.
I mean, just looking at it, like, you've got some of these countries, like, let's say, who had a national final? Australia, Georgia, Israel, and Ukraine. They all stood by they spent a lot of money on doing national finals in 2020, or like incorporated with someone else, but then they still stood by their artist. So that kind of broke my heart. But if looking at it, that we're set to participate, the one thing I'm really curious about is North Macedonia. Just because of the fact that I saw Vasil in Tel Aviv because he was a backing vocalist for Tamara. So I really want to see that progression go on. So MRT, please, for the love of God, you internally selected Vasil. It's not that difficult.
Oh. Actually, thinking about like like Vasil again seemed like a really sort of nice, personable guy. He sort of reminds me a bit of the 2020 version of Slavko. And I don't mean that just because like they both have camp vibes, but I just think that like the way that they just carry themselves, I think they just like it's almost like they could be twins.
Yeah.
I have my suit on and I just wanna dance with
We
you.
do.
Oh my God.
I could definitely see him opening semi-final one.
Yeah. It would have been an interesting opening, I think.
I think for me, somebody I would like to see return, just because like I want to see her carry the torch onto the main stage of Eurovision. She's been a backing vocalist and she was in Junior Eurovision, Destiny.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, yes.
Definitely.
And
Like-
Bring her back.
and All of My Love was amazing. I think it was one of the potentials that could have won the contest. Like if it was staged well, I think it was definitely potential to be a jury winner, and it is kind of up tempo, so I think it would appeal to the wider public as well.
What would have really annoyed me is that Destiny could have done the double, and we'll
Oh.
never know.
And so after so many different junior Eurovision participants going on to do Eurovision, it would make it would just set the bar on such a different level.
Yeah. Like, you need to, like, Destiny's the standard of just like ultimate Eurovision winner beating Johnny Logan or something.
Oh my god, imagine.
How weird was it watching Eurovision again and seeing her at the 2016 one and seeing her appear as the winner of Junior Eurovision?
It's so strange. It is really strange because look at the glow up she's had since then.
I know, right? Like, wow.
But I mean, she's grown up. She's become more mature now, and I think like the only way is up really for her. Like, given how like we know what Destiny's voice sounds like her voice has become so distinctive. I think she has got so many great things ahead of her. So I would love it if she did come back, just because of the passion that she has for Eurovision anyway. But if she had another potential bop like All of My Love, I really could see the potential for Malta winning. But we'd have to wait and see. We really would.
And Malta have been underrated so many times these last few years that I would love that.
Like this year felt like the one time that they weren't going to get underrated. Like you could feel that she was going to do well.
Yeah. Not to mention, I think I don't necessarily know if it's the case in other European countries, but definitely in like Ireland and the UK, that sort of gospel pop music goes down very, very well. So it would make a lot of sense as to why Malta would just get like it would rack up points from here, definitely. So just sort of moving away, I guess, from the 2020 sound, looking just to how the Netherlands would have hosted the contest this year. We had a lot of, in contrast to the past couple of years where things have kind of been stumbling every now and again, just say, for example, with 2017 and 2019, just being a number of sort of interval acts and things like that coming in at the very last minute, see for reference Madonna. This year we had a lot of the interval acts and a lot of the sort of important details about the contest published very recently. So, how do you think sort of the Netherlands would have hosted the contest? Do you think that it would have been really professional? Do you think that it like would have been really slick, or do you think that maybe there could have been something else that could have even been worked on from that?
I can think of a lot of things for this one. First of all, the Netherlands. What was really nice about them hosting it is that A, Western Europe, so it's easy to get to. B, it was so unproblematic. I'm so sorry to like Israel and Ukraine, but it's the most unproblematic thing there is for such a while, and it was actually kind of nice to not be looking at headlines like Israel funding problem, Ukraine funding problem, like can't pick a host city. But yeah, I think that having the Netherlands would have been sleek, would have been professional, and would have been well prepared. For what I'm gonna say, because they had everything announced so early. So like by nearly Christmas, we've known the hosts, we've known the arena, we've known the stage, we've known the slogan, we've had the logo by then as well, by January. So everything was well prepared. So the fact they've done it so professionally, and there was a lot of ample time to kind of host it and to plan it, I think it wouldn't have been as problematic as it was for the previous contests. So it would have been a great show, I think. The fact that we're not going to... The only sad thing is I'm just really gutted that we're not going to see in person what the stage would have looked like, how the graphics would have looked like, how the postcard and the transitions would have looked like. That's the only thing I'm really sad about, because Clever Frank has done really well on the production of like the graphics and stuff, and the fact that we're not going to see this... I mean, I've got the merch. That's one good thing. Yeah, I bought the merch, but I'm still sad about the fact that we're not going to see how the contest would have looked like on screen.
I really like how I think all the interval acts they planned were all meant to have a Dutch feel, and they weren't going to like introduce any international influence. Like it was either going to be a very Dutch feel or it was going to be quite Eurovision-y. And they said that they wouldn't have like 20 minutes worth of intervals or openings. I do think that's a really good thing, because that sometimes it felt like the intervals were almost longer than the actual songs. And like definitely felt this way in Tel Aviv. And it sometimes made the contest drag on for like more than 4 hours, where I think a good way to keep the contest is to try and keep it under 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Or just thereabouts. And I think the Netherlands would have tried to do that. They're also keeping the cultural identity of their interval acts, so they're showing off parts of the Netherlands rather than bringing in interval acts, so therefore they can spend more money. As for example, on the staging, on the postcards, on like camera, like the camera shots. So I think it would have been a very clean contest. Like it would have been very well hosted, very well, like it just very well thought out. Like, and some of these the contests recently haven't felt that. Like they felt.
That's controversial. Shame.
To be fair though, like I've experienced the whole 2 weeks. So I can agree with Jazzy on that one. Like especially last year.
This Madonna, will she perform, will she not? Like it like rehearsals had started and we didn't even know she was going to perform. That's what I'm alluding to. It's been more than, and I think wasn't Justin Timberlake in Sweden only announced very like
like a week
close to-
before.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, I think
Like-
Edward Afsalin confirmed it on Twitter.
like stuff like that. I don't think that would have been an issue in the Netherlands.
I think the Netherlands generally is a very uncontroversial country, and I feel like they were just so excited to host, and that you could tell even from the moment that we saw that clip of the Dutch commentator realizing that the Netherlands had won last year, where she's literally just screaming. And from that moment, you could just tell how happy they were to be hosting, and it just felt really smooth up until that point. So I was really excited to see what they come up with, but also I am so excited to see what they do next year.
I think the Netherlands would have definitely had a really slick, polished show, just because, like, they've had these sorts of shows before where, like, look at, for example, Het Grote Songfestivalfest, where it was that, like, where they managed to get so many different Eurovision artists and then get them into that arena, and just, it was a big Eurovision just celebration, really. And the fact that every single year Eurovision in concert is held in the Netherlands and it's recorded and you can have these sorts of shows posted onto YouTube, you know, I think they wanted to host for a really long time. And I think
They've done their waiting of it. 44 years in the semi-finals.
It's been 44 years. But no, I do genuinely think it would have been a really, really good show. I think the host would have been pretty good. I think the standout, though, definitely would have been Edcilia Rombly. I do think as well, like, the way that the logo was actually quite controversial. I don't know if you guys remember when the logo first came out. It was very divisive. Some people thought it was like a stroke of genius, and another people thought it was very messy and very kind of complicated. But
yeah, some people were like that all countries that have ever participated should have been included, because what if a country, like, they've had a situation like with Ukraine last year and somebody withdrew? What were they going to do with the logo then?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys had seen it, but if you went onto the Clever Frank website and you'd seen, like, how they had designed each of the little spike bits, they had done them for each of the participating countries, and if there was a country that was debuting for the first time, it would just have been just a straight line, like nothing else. And I think that's really wonderful. It's just like, do you know what? You gave it a good go. Here you go.
You tried.
Thank you for your input. You know, it's very much.
There was an attempt.
Yeah. But no, I do think the fact that we had pretty much everything sorted by Christmas and just after January, I think it was a testament to show, like, how professional NPO were about the whole situation about hosting the contest. So obviously, like, it was just such a sad time for them when, like, Eurovision ended up being cancelled. But yeah, I think given the fact that next year, fingers crossed, because they still haven't 100% officially confirmed it yet, at the time of recording anyway. But hopefully, if Rotterdam 100% gets to host next year, then I think, like, it will be quite possibly one of the best Eurovision shows we've ever seen. I can see it.
I can already sense a lot of people trying to go as well.
Oh my god. Literally, I don't care if, like, my university exams get in the way or anything like that. I am going. I am going.
I will be making every attempt. What if we get press passes?
Oh.
Even better.
We need you all to listen and to subscribe and to like and spam all of our socials.
Please
That's all I'm going to say right now.
Yeah. Please like, share, follow, give us everything, okay? Please.
And then you can hashtag
And when we all
join
come
us.
together, we will hashtag open up.
Hashtag open up, and you can all hashtag join us.
Party.
No, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Netherlands could have in store for us next year if they end up hosting. If they don't end up hosting, I think something's definitely up. But prayer circle, fingers crossed, it's all gonna work out fine. Who knows? Maybe we can all go to like Nicosia or someplace like that, and it's so much nicer.
I'm just remembering Linda Woodruff when you mentioned that, Rory.
Why can't Cyprus win the Eurovision? I couldn't remember saying.
I feel like Eurovision in Cyprus would just feel like a big holiday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at how they hosted Junior Eurovision in 2008. Like, it would be fantastic, but I do feel like they'd have to host it outside because there's no chance that there'd be ever be a building that would be so big ever to host the contest.
I would love to see how they could do an outdoor contest. It'd be really interesting.
It'd be really interesting, wouldn't it? But, yeah, so do we have any sort of final comments on the 2020 contest just before we start to wrap things up?
Other than that I'm really applauding the fact that the EBU are still honoring the songs through the Eurovision Song Celebration and also Eurovision Europe Shine a Light. So kudos to the EBU for actually honoring all their hard work. Kudos.
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely. I'm sure we'll have more thoughts when we do our discussion episode on Europe Shine a Light and whatever the fuck the BBC is doing.
Can we also just take a minute to appreciate the effort that the whole Euro fandom has done in essentially just bullying the BBC into actually showing Eurovision Europe Shine a Light on BBC One. I mean,
we didn't just bully them into showing Europe Shine a Light. We bullied them into having 5 hours worth of content.
in it. It's like, this is our day. You will let us have our day.
Yeah, because everyone was arguing by the fact that, look, you've already got the airtime, you've already countered Eurovision in. Is it too much for you to just give us a couple of hours?
And then they gave us 5.
And then they gave us 5.
We're gonna wish we never asked now. Nah, it'll be very interesting to see like what's in store for us with all of EBU content that they're providing for us, because we're thirsty. It's Eurovision month. Anything else?
Yeah, I just hope that people watch the BBC broadcast, because I do think it will help the BBC know that there is a genuine interest in Eurovision, like regardless if the contest goes ahead or not. And the more viewers that it gets, maybe there'll be an improvement in attitude. Just maybe.
We can dare to dream.
Yeah.
Oh, join us. # join us. But yeah, so that comes to the end of this episode of That Eurovision Podcast. Again, I'd really love to thank Rosie, Jazzy and Tim for joining us on this fantastic journey for 2020. We will have a few surprises for you, as Rosie alluded to. We'll be looking at how Eurovision, Europe Shine a Light and the BBC show
Eurovision Come Together.
Eurovision Come Together. I couldn't remember what it was called.
That's the porn name.
Okay,
Eurovision Come Together.
You know what? It's just time to grab our towels because it's soon time to come together.
I have always said at some point, if I ever get the opportunity, I really want to make a porn parody called the Eurovision Dong Contest.
Oh my god.
But I got the concept of it to be able to do it properly.
Get in with GAY, they'll get all over that.
When I'm in Manchester again.
When you're in Manchester again, or London, or wherever. So we'll be looking at how Eurovision, Europe Shine a Light and Eurovision Come Together have been, like what were they like, what were our reactions to it, and we'll also be continuing on with our country specials as well, and we may also have a couple of other retrospective episodes for you as well. So in the meantime, please do continue to like our content, share our content, follow us. We're on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter at That Euro Podcast. We're also on Spotify as well, so make sure you get notified whenever a new episode comes out. And yeah, just stay tuned for the next couple of weeks, because, we're in a pandemic at this point. What else have we got to do? So, so do we all want to say goodbye?
Bye.
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 We are the Maccas of our time.
We are the Maccas of our time. Stream Maccas of our time.